object and the reaction stands a missing link, Vedana. We react not to the exterior reality, but to the sensations within us. When we learn to observe sensation without reacting in craving and aversion, the cause of suffering does not arise, and suffering ceases. Therefore, observation of Vedana is essential in order to practice what the Buddha taught. And the observation must be at the level of physical sensation if the awareness of Vedana is to be complete. With the awareness of physical sensation, we can penetrate to the root of the problem and remove it. We can observe our own nature to the depths and can liberate ourselves from suffering. By understanding the central importance of the observation of sensation in the teaching of the Buddha, one can gain fresh insight into the Satipatthana Sutta. The discourse begins by stating the aims of Satipatthana, of establishing awareness. The purification of beings, the transcending of sorrow and lamentation, the extinguishing of physical and mental suffering, the practicing of a way of truth, the direct experience of the ultimate reality, Nibbana. It then briefly explains how to achieve these goals. Here a meditator dwells ardent with thorough understanding and awareness, observing body in body, observing sensations in sensations, observing mind in mind, observing the contents of the mind in the contents of the mind, having abandoned craving and aversion toward the world. What is meant by observing body in body, sensations in sensations, and so forth? For a vipassana meditator, the expression is luminous in its clarity. Body, sensations, mind, and mental contents are the four dimensions of a human being. To understand this human phenomenon correctly, each of us must experience the reality of ourselves directly. To achieve this direct experience, the meditator must develop two qualities, awareness, or sati, and thorough understanding, sampajanya. The discourse is called the establishing of awareness, but awareness is incomplete without understanding, insight into the depths of one's own nature, into the impermanence of this phenomenon that one calls I. The practice of Satipatthana leads the meditators to realize their essentially ephemeral nature. When they have had this personal realization, then awareness is firmly established, right awareness leading to liberation. Then automatically craving and aversion disappear, not just toward the external world, but also toward the world within, where craving and aversion are most deep-seated and most often overlooked, in the unthinking visceral attachment to one's own body and mind. So long as this underlying attachment remains, one cannot be liberated from suffering. The discourse on the establishing of awareness first discusses observation of the body. This is the most apparent aspect of the mental physical structure, and hence the proper point from which to begin the work of self-observation. From here, observation of sensations, of mind, and of mental contents naturally develops. The discourse explains several ways to begin observing the body. The first and most common is awareness of respiration. Another way to begin is by giving attention to bodily movements. But no matter how one starts the journey, there are certain stages through which one must pass on the way to the final goal. These are described in a paragraph of crucial importance in the discourse. In this way he dwells observing body in body, internally or externally, or both internally and externally. He dwells observing the phenomenon of arising in the body. He dwells observing the phenomenon of passing away in the body. He dwells observing the phenomenon of arising and passing away in the body. Now the awareness presents itself to him. This is body. This awareness develops to such an extent that only understanding and observation remain, and he dwells detached, without clinging to anything in the world. The great importance of this passage is shown by the fact that it is repeated not only at the end of each section within the discussion of observation of the body, but also within the succeeding divisions of the discourse dealing with the observation of sensations, of mind, and of mental contents. The passage thus describes the common ground in the practice of Satipatthana. Because of the difficulties it presents, its interpretation has varied widely. However, the difficulties disappear when the passage is understood as referring to the awareness of sensations. In practicing Satipatthana, meditators must achieve a comprehensive insight into the nature of themselves. The means to this penetrating insight is the observation of sensations, including as it does the observation of the other three dimensions of the human phenomenon. Therefore, although the first steps may differ, beyond a certain point, the practice must involve awareness of sensation. Hence, the passage explains, meditators begin by observing sensations arising in the interior of the body or externally on the surface of the body, or both together. That is, from awareness of sensations in some parts and not in others, they gradually develop the ability to feel sensations throughout the body. When they begin the practice, they may first experience sensations of an intense nature which arise and seem to persist for some time. Meditators are aware of their arising, and after some time of their passing away. In this stage, they are still experiencing the apparent reality of body and mind, their integrated, seemingly solid and lasting nature. But as one continues practicing, a stage is reached in which the solidity dissolves spontaneously, and mind and body are experienced in their true nature as a mass of vibrations, arising and passing away every moment. With this experience, now one understands at last what body, sensations, mind, and mental contents really are, a flux of impersonal, constantly changing phenomena. This direct apprehension of the ultimate reality of mind and matter progressively shatters one's illusions, misconceptions, and preconceptions. Even right conceptions that had been accepted only on faith or by intellectual deduction now acquire new significance when they are experienced. Gradually, by the observation of reality within, all the conditioning that distorts perception is eliminated. Only pure awareness and wisdom remain. As ignorance disappears, the underlying tendencies of craving and aversion are eradicated, and the meditator becomes freed from all attachments, the deepest attachment being to the inner world of one's own body and mind. When this attachment is eliminated, suffering disappears, and one becomes liberated. The Buddha often said, "Whatever is felt is related to suffering." Therefore, Vedana is an ideal means to explore the truth of suffering. Unpleasant sensations are obviously suffering, but the most pleasant sensation is also a form of very subtle agitation. Every sensation is impermanent. If one is attached to pleasant sensations, then when they pass away, suffering remains. Thus, every sensation contains a seed of misery. For this reason, as he spoke of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, the Buddha spoke of the path leading to the arising of Vedana, and that leading to its ceasing. So long as one remains within the conditioned field of mind and matter, sensations and suffering persist. They cease only when one transcends that field to experience the ultimate reality of Nibbana. The Buddha said, "A man does not really apply Dhamma in life just because he speaks much about it. But though someone may have heard little about it, if he sees the law of nature by means of his own body, then truly he lives according to it, and can never be forgetful of the Dhamma." Our own bodies bear witness to the truth. When meditators discover the truth within, it becomes real for them, and they live according to it. We can each realize that truth by learning to observe the sensations within ourselves, and by doing so, we can attain liberation from suffering.